This story is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to real events, people, or places is purely coincidental. While the story involves well-known public figures, their actions, words, and experiences in this narrative are entirely imagined. This is not a historical account, nor is it based on any actual events. Many people see Vladimir Putin as a tough and strategic leader, known for his strong presence on the world stage. To some, he is a man of power and control, always calculating his next move. Putin did something unexpected, something that went beyond politics, beyond rivalry, beyond what anyone would have believed possible. To truly understand the depth of this moment, you must follow the story to the very end. I will tell this story. Last year, July 2024, the sun shone brightly over Pennsylvania. People gathered in large numbers, waving flags and cheering loudly. It was an exciting day, and everyone was happy to see the President of the United States, Donald Trump. He stood on a big stage, smiling as he spoke into the microphone. He moved his hands while talking. The crowd listened carefully, clapping and shouting with excitement. Then suddenly something terrible happened. A loud explosion shook everywhere. It was so loud that people gasped. Some screamed. Others quickly dropped to the ground, not knowing what was happening. For a moment there was confusion. Then someone shouted, "The president has been shot!" Trump stumbled. His face showed pain, but he tried to stand. His security team rushed onto the stage. They moved fast, grabbing him and covering him with their bodies. "Get him out of here," one of them yelled. They helped him off the stage as quickly as possible. Some people cried, while others looked around in shock. The place that was full of cheers just moments ago was now filled with panic. Many people ran in different directions, trying to find safety. Others stood still, too scared to move. Police officers rushed in, shouting orders. They needed to take control of the situation. The security team quickly surrounded President Trump, moving fast to protect him. They held him tightly and rushed him to a safe place away from the crowd. The agents were focused, making sure no one could harm him again. Trump, even though he was hurt, tried to stay calm. His face showed pain, but he kept his head up, not wanting to show fear. Inside the safe area, doctors were waiting. They checked Trump right away, making sure he was okay. The wound was serious, but it wasn't life-threatening. Still, everyone knew it was a close call. Trump was hurt, but he was alive. The news spread quickly across the country. People were shocked. Everyone had been watching the rally, and now they were glued to their TVs, waiting to find out what happened next. News anchors talked nonstop, telling viewers about the attack and the president's condition. Across the country, people reacted in different ways. Some cried, some prayed, and others stayed in shock, unable to believe what had just happened. It was hard for many to understand how something so terrible could happen to the leader of the nation. The media continued to report every detail. News stations broadcasted live updates, telling people what the doctors were saying about Trump's condition. Leaders from different countries quickly reacted. Some held emergency meetings, discussing the situation with their advisors. Others sent messages of concern, hoping for Trump's recovery. The world watched closely, knowing that an attack on the leader of the United States could have serious consequences. But in all, what Putin, the president of Russia, did is what, till today, many are trying to fathom. But before he reveals his intentions, in Europe, leaders from countries like the United Kingdom, France, and Germany sent their support. The British Prime Minister gave a speech saying, "We stand with the American people during this difficult time." The French president called for peace, reminding everyone that violence should never be the answer. In Germany, officials discussed increasing security at their own events, fearing that something similar could happen elsewhere. In Asia, countries like China, Japan, and India paid close attention. China's government sent an official message, saying that they hope for Trump's quick recovery. Japan's prime minister expressed deep concern, calling the attack a tragic moment in history. In India, people gathered in large numbers, some lighting candles and praying for Trump's safety. Even in the Middle East, where politics were often complicated, many leaders spoke out. Some governments, even those that did not always agree with Trump, condemned the attack, saying that no leader should face such violence. Messages of support poured in from every corner of the world. Social media was flooded with people posting their thoughts, prayers, and hopes for Trump's recovery. Some people shared pictures of Trump, while others posted videos of his past speeches, reminding the world of his strength. Russian President Vladimir Putin was one of the first leaders to respond. Though the United States and Russia had their differences, Putin knew that an attack like this was bigger than politics. He sent an official message saying, "We strongly condemn this attack and wish President Trump a full and speedy recovery." But he didn't stop there. Deep inside, he felt something more personal. He had known Trump for years, and despite their political battles, there was a certain understanding between them. Other world leaders followed. The Pope sent a message of prayer, asking for peace. The president of Brazil, a known supporter of Trump, called him a fighter and said he believed Trump would overcome this challenge. Even leaders from smaller nations, far from the United States, reached out, offering their sympathy. While the world watched, authorities in the United States worked quickly. The police, the FBI, and the Secret Service all joined forces to find out who had attacked the president. Officers searched the area looking for clues. They studied security footage, trying to figure out where the shot had come from. Helicopters flew above, scanning the city. Officers moved through the crowd, questioning people who had been close to the stage. Many were still shaken, their faces pale with fear. Some had seen nothing, only hearing the loud bang. Others said they had noticed a suspicious figure before the attack, but no one was sure. For investigators, every second counted. They needed to find out who was behind this and why. Was it one person acting alone, or was there a bigger plan behind it? They searched for the weapon, checked buildings nearby, and reviewed every piece of evidence they could find. News channels reported on the search, showing images of police officers working hard. Reporters asked officials questions, but for now there were no clear answers. All they could say was that the investigation was moving quickly and that they would not rest until they found the person responsible. Most world leaders would send a formal letter or a diplomatic message. But Putin did not see Trump only as the president of the United States. He saw him as a person, a man who had just survived an attempt on his life. This was not about politics anymore. It was about something deeper. He thought about what Trump must have felt in that moment. The pain, the shock, the realization that someone had tried to kill him. He imagined the fear in the crowd, the chaos, the uncertainty. He knew that even a strong leader like Trump would feel the weight of such an attack. Putin was not a man who often showed emotion, but at that moment he felt the need to act. He wanted to send a message that went beyond politics. He wanted Trump to know that he was not alone, that even across the world there were people who understood what he had been through. Putin thought carefully. What could he do that would truly mean something? Words were not enough. He wanted to give Trump something personal, something that showed strength and respect. Then an idea came to him, a portrait. He decided to commission a painting of Trump, not just any painting, but one that showed him as a strong and determined leader. He wanted it to capture Trump's resilience, his ability to stand tall even after facing danger. It was a bold and unusual gesture, but Putin believed it was the right one. He called for some of the best artists in Russia and gave them specific instructions. The painting had to show Trump as a leader who had overcome hardship. Every detail had to be perfect. The expression on his face, the strength in his eyes, the determination in his stance. It was more than just a gift. It was a message, a symbol of respect between two powerful men. When the portrait was finally finished, Putin looked at it closely. He nodded, satisfied. This was exactly what he wanted. A tribute, a sign of friendship, a reminder that even in the world of politics, there were moments of real human connection. Now he just had to make sure Trump received it. Putin did not want to send the painting through official government channels. That would make it feel like a standard diplomatic gesture, something routine and expected. This was different. It was personal. It had to be delivered by someone who would understand its meaning. He thought carefully about who could carry out this task. He needed someone close to Trump, someone who would not just hand over the painting, but would also deliver the message behind it. After some consideration, he chose Steve Witkoff, one of Trump's trusted negotiators. Witkoff was surprised when he received the call. He had dealt with many important matters before, but this was something unique. He listened carefully as Putin's aides explained his role. He was to take the painting directly to Trump, making sure it arrived safely. More than that, he had to deliver Putin's words exactly as they were meant to be heard. Before Witkoff left, Putin met with him personally. The Russian leader's expression was calm, but his words carried weight. "Tell him," Putin said, "that I prayed for his safety, not just because he is the president of the United States, but because he is my friend." He spoke with sincerity. This was not just about politics. It was about something deeper, a connection between two leaders who, despite their differences, shared a moment of understanding. Witkoff nodded, knowing the importance of what he was about to do. He understood that this was not just about delivering a gift. It was about carrying a message that meant something. Steve Witkoff finally arrived at his destination. He was escorted into a private room where Trump was waiting. The atmosphere was calm, but there was an air of anticipation. Trump had already heard that a special delivery was coming, but he did not yet know the full significance of it. Witkoff stepped forward, carrying the carefully wrapped package. He placed it gently on the table in front of Trump. Then in a steady voice, he delivered Putin's message. "President Putin wanted you to know that he prayed for your safety, not just because you are the president of the United States, but because you are his friend." Trump listened without saying a word. He studied Witkoff for a moment, then looked down at the package. He seemed to take in the weight of those words before slowly reaching out to unwrap the gift. As the wrapping was removed, the portrait was revealed. The painting showed Trump standing tall, his expression strong and resolute. The artist had captured him as a leader who had endured hardship and survived. Every brushstroke seemed to tell a story of resilience. Trump leaned in, studying the details. His fingers ran along the edge of the frame as he took it all in. There was no immediate reaction, no quick remark, no expression of surprise. Instead, he simply looked at it, absorbing the message it carried. He knew this was not just a piece of art. It was a statement, a sign of respect, a recognition of the battle he had just faced. For a while, Trump said nothing. He just sat there looking at the painting. After a moment, he leaned back and nodded slowly. "That's something," he finally said. It was a simple response, but it carried meaning. He understood what this gift represented. It was more than just a painting. It was a gesture of friendship, an acknowledgement of his strength, and a reminder that, even in politics, unexpected connections could form. The moment was brief, but it left an impact. As Trump continued to look at the portrait, he knew that this was something he would not forget. Putin's decision to send the portrait was not a routine political gesture. Leaders often exchange gifts, but this was different. It was not a medal, a document, or a formal declaration. It was a personal act, a symbol of respect beyond politics. The painting showed Trump as a survivor, a leader who had faced danger and remained strong. By choosing to send this particular gift, Putin had sent a message. He saw Trump not just as the president of the United States, but as a man who had endured something few could understand. This story reminds us that even in the highest levels of leadership, where power and influence dominate, there are moments where humanity shines through. It challenges us to look beyond the headlines and consider that leaders, like all people, are capable of emotions, friendships, and unexpected acts of goodwill.